The Archangel Michael has come to cast Lucifer out of heaven for good, but will he be able to defeat his brother in battle? Let's find out. We begin this week's episode of The Chosen with a pan shot over a vast and tumultuous landscape. Behind us, we can see the spires of Jerusalem in the distance. And before us, the armies of God are gathering. This is not an army that will go to war, but an army that will go to judgment. And at their head is the Archangel Michael, the warrior of the Lord, his breastplate gleaming like the brightest star. As we pull back further, we see two sides of the same coin. Above us, the clear blue sky is rent asunder, opening up like a gaping wound in the fabric of the cosmos. From its depths, we can see the swirling blackness of hell, tendrils of smoke and flame writhing like serpents in the abyss. On the far side of the divide, the great angelic host are gathered, all of them shining with the light of 1,000 suns, each one of them a potential instrument of God's wrath. And among them is a figure cloaked in shadow. Even though he, too, shines with an inner light, something about him is different. His face is hidden in the gloom. His form is swathed in darkness, and only the faintest glimmer of his former beauty can be seen in the depths of his eyes. And then there is Lucifer. He stands alone, a single figure silhouetted against the encroaching darkness. His wings are spread wide like those of a great bat, and they are tipped with feathers of blackest night. And if we look closely, we can see the glow of unholy fire flickering between his outstretched fingers. It is a terrible sight to behold, but undeniably magnificent. And around him, the demonic legions gather. They are twisted mockeries of the angels, and their eyes burn like hot coals in the gloom. The rift in the sky above widens until it becomes a chasm, and the very heavens seem to tremble before it. Then Michael steps forward and raises his hand. In that moment, the sky splits apart, and the whole world seems to hold its breath. And here comes Lucifer. At first, it seems he hesitates, as if torn between his duty and his desire to flee. But then he takes a deep breath and throws back his head, and lets out a long, low cry. What is a challenge, an invitation to battle, and Michael accepts. And so the two brothers meet in the middle, facing each other down with weapons raised. Round them, the armies of heaven and hell stir restlessly, and the fate of the world hangs in the balance. Then suddenly Michael strikes. His sword flashes through the air like a bolt of lightning, and Lucifer parries with a snarl. Sparks fly as metal meets metal. The two archangels are evenly matched, and their swords clash again and again. With each blow, the shock waves radiate outwards, shaking the foundations of heaven itself. Michael fights with the righteous fury of the Almighty. Every move he makes is infused with the power of the Most High, and his blazing sword cuts through the darkness like a scythe through wheat. But Lucifer is a worthy opponent. He is cunning and savage, and his dark flames burn with unholy power. And for a moment, it seems as though Michael might be overwhelmed. But then something happens. Michael remembers who he is fighting for. He remembers the countless souls who have been lost to the darkness, and he remembers the hope that only the light can bring. And with a surge of renewed strength, he drives Lucifer back. For a moment, it seems as though the darkness might be banished forever. But then Lucifer makes a stand. He plants his feet firmly and raises his sword high above his head. And with a mighty roar, he charges. This is the moment Michael has been preparing for. This is the moment when the fate of the world will be decided. And with a cry of defiance, he meets Lucifer's charge head-on. Their swords clash once more, and the shockwave blasts through the heavens. Michael fights with everything he's got, knows that the fate of the world hangs in the balance, and he will not fail. With a final mighty roar, he overpowers Lucifer and knocks his sword away. Then he presses his attack, driving Lucifer back step by bloody step. Lucifer is wounded, and his dark magic is fading fast. But even in his weakened state, he is still dangerous. And Michael knows he must end this quickly before Lucifer can recover. With one last mighty effort, he lunges and strikes true. Lucifer's eyes widen in surprise. Then he crumples to his knees. The darkness that has clung to him like a shroud falls away, revealing the most beautiful angel that heaven has ever seen. For a moment, he looks up at Michael with gratitude and love in his eyes. Then he turns away and disappears into the shadows. And as the darkness recedes, the light of heaven floods back into the rift. The angels rejoice, for they know that the darkness is defeated, at least for now. But Michael does not join in their rejoicing. He stands alone, watching as the darkness fades away. He knows that this is only a temporary victory. The darkness will return, and he will have to fight again. But for now, he allows himself a rare moment of peace. Then suddenly a voice booms through the heavens. It is the voice of God, and it speaks to Michael. Michael kneels before his Lord and obeys. As he does, we pan up to see the full extent of the damage that has been wrought. The heavens are torn and shattered, and the stars themselves seem to be falling. But even in the midst of all this destruction, there is a faint glimmer of hope. A small light is growing brighter and brighter, and it seems to say that, even in the darkest of times, the light will always prevail. The camera pans away slowly, taking in the vastness of the damage that has been done. The sky is rent asunder, and the very fabric of reality seems to be unraveling. And yet there is a sense of peace in the midst of all this destruction. The battle is over, and the light has won. And as the camera fades to black, we hear the voice of God speaking once more. It is a voice of power and authority, but also of love and mercy. And it speaks of a new beginning, a time of healing and restoration. And then the screen goes black, and we hear the sound of angelic trumpets, heralding the dawn of a new day. I think we can all agree that was pretty intense, right? But if you want to see more epic battles between good and evil, then make sure to subscribe for more content. We have plenty more where that came from. In the meantime, though, let us take a few moments to talk about some of the themes and ideas that were presented in today's episode. First off, let's talk about the battle between Michael and Lucifer. This is obviously a battle between good and evil, but it's also a battle between brothers. These are two figures who were once close, who were once united in their purpose. But now they find themselves on opposite sides of a cosmic divide. The battle between Michael and Lucifer is not just a physical one. It's also a spiritual one. These are two archangels who are locked in a struggle to determine the fate of the universe. The stakes could not be higher. Another interesting thing about this battle is that it's not a fair fight. Michael is fighting for the forces of good, while Lucifer is fighting for the forces of evil. And we already know who's going to win this battle, so there's no suspense there. But despite that, the battle is still incredibly intense. That's because it's not about who wins or loses the battle. It's about what it means to fight for what you believe in. No matter how hopeless the cause may seem, Michael is fighting because he believes in the goodness of the universe. He believes that good will ultimately triumph over evil. And Lucifer is fighting because he believes in the power of darkness. He believes that evil is ultimately stronger than good. And finally, let's talk about the ending of this episode. As I mentioned earlier, this is not a battle that Michael can win. He knows that the darkness will return and that he will have to fight again. But for now, he allows himself a moment of peace. He knows that he has done all he can for now, and that is enough. This ending is both hopeful and tragic at the same time. It's hopeful because it shows that even in the darkest of times, the light will always prevail. But it's also tragic because it shows that the battle between good and evil is never truly over. So what do you think? What did you think of this episode? Let me know in the comments below. And if you liked it, don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, stay safe, stay awesome, and remember, the darkness will always return, but the light will always be there to meet it.